Paul brothers, Logan and Jake,
Yeah,
they're making some
right?
big money moves. They're making a lot of money. And they got everybody talking about him, including us. And I was saying this to people, like people are trying to downplay who he is and what he does. I'm listen, man, I know when I see a guy who can punch. You can hate on him all you want, but you better recognize that guy can fuck people up for real. And he's doing it under intense pressure. After he talks
pay-per-view,
on pay-per-view.
In an outfit, yeah, whatever. You got the whole thing set up.
Snoop Dogg's doing commentary. Mario Lopez is doing commentary. And he's talking
back again in our lives.
And he talks a ton of shit and still knocks people out.
I know this is going to rub some of you guys the wrong way, and maybe many of you guys even click this video to immediately give it a dislike as a result of the title. But no, you didn't misread the title, you didn't misunderstand anything, because for once, I actually think I'm on Jake Paul's side with all of this. Even though he's universally disliked, even though he's a horrible rapper, there's one thing that I respect Jake Paul for, and that's his ability to rip off his brother's ideas, execute them significantly more poorly, and then take out a bag of $1 bills and flex onto Instagram, claiming that he made a ton of money as a result of quite possibly one of the worst fighting events we've ever seen. I mean, dude, if you're going to flex about the fact that you made $75 million, then why are there a bunch of $1 bills in front of the camera? So what's going on, guys? Your boy Mike here. Do me a quick favor and leave a like on this video, because I have an exclusive interview coming up with a man very close to the EDP situation, and I'm gonna drop that bad boy when this video hits 10,000 likes. I know it's a pretty big goal, but yeah, just smash that like button for the algorithm and I'd appreciate it. So for those of you guys that didn't watch the UFC 261 event, there are two things that the event was notorious for. One was the extremely gruesome Chris Weidman kick, which I guess I could post onto my Instagram story because there's no way that I can post this on here. But yeah, the poor guy literally snapped his leg. It folded in half. Like, it just looked horrible. But the next thing was the fact that the entire crowd at the interview chanted, "Fuck Jake Paul." And I don't really blame them. Jake Paul is probably the most polarizing individual in the social media landscape. You either love him, hate him, or love to hate him. But I have to admit, the stunt he pulled by boxing Ben Askren was probably one of the most savvy moves that I've ever seen any influencer, no, not even influencer, any entrepreneur pull off. You see, his fighting event was horrible. It was so horrible that people were complaining about it on Twitter, but were actually showing love and respect to Jake Paul for the fact that he was able to finesse such a gigantic bag out of this. And honestly, the man is probably my favorite supervillain on the internet so far. After a very awkward 2 years when he had absolutely no drive and seemed very confused about where his place was on the internet, Jake Paul may have found himself as one of the biggest trolls on the internet. So I'm sure you heard what Daniel Cormier said about this guy. It got to a point where Cormier literally said on the broadcast that, "I swear to God, I just saw Jake Paul. I pointed at him and said, 'Don't play with me, because I'll smack him in the face. He's right there and I'll slap him. I don't play those games, Joe,'" he was saying to Joe Rogan. Cormier would have his opportunity, as Jake Paul would literally go up to Cormier's face. And Cormier did absolutely nothing about it. And it got to a point where Jake Paul capitalized off of this opportunity and posted this video onto the internet, tweeting Daniel Cormier online, "I'ma smack Jake Paul when I see him," and then Daniel Cormier in person. And you could tell the man was really reveling in the hatred, posting "F Jake Paul" onto his Twitter account, and literally turning a pay-per-view event into an event about him, where he got the entire crowd to chant "Fuck Jake Paul." At the conclusion of the event, he even took shots at Conor McGregor once again, when Conor McGregor tweeted, "UFC high-level fighting is greater than blogger jackass boxing." Jake Paul responded saying that Jack Daniels is better than proper number 12, which is Conor McGregor's whiskey brand. Now, after the UFC 261 event, Dana White conducted an interview with CBS Sports where he absolutely ripped into what Jake Paul is doing, claiming that they even lied about how many people purchased Paul's fight against Ben Askren earlier this month, saying that the numbers are there.
Listen, I've said it before and I'll say it again. This kid's done a good job of putting himself in a place to make some money, man, you know? So good for him. He's got you guys talking about him all the time and asking questions about him, and got Daniel Cormier running after him, so he's doing something right. He knocked out an NBA guy that was 40 years old and 30 pounds less than him, and I don't even know what to think about the Askren thing, man. The whole thing is fucking mind-boggling to me, but hey, good for him. Grab that money while you can, kid.
I was gonna say, would you ever do business with him? I mean, it sounds weird, but the numbers are there.
The numbers are there? Nah, I don't know if the numbers are there. Listen, do you know what would happen to this guy? He ain't fighting in the UFC. These guys you're getting me talking about this fucking guy again. You're getting hand-picked opponents, and God knows what else is going on with that whole fucking thing. It's all, there is a market for that. That's not what I do. That is not what I do. People want to see that, and you know, people want to see it, and it's great. And this kid's going to make a couple bucks before this ride is over, and it's just not what I do. What I do is what happened tonight. What happened tonight is we sold this place out, and it was packed. And the numbers that you're hearing that they did are full of shit. They're full of shit. Okay? They didn't pull those kind of numbers at all. Not even fucking close. And tonight, what happened here tonight is what I do. The best versus the best. There is a market for that. People want to see that stuff, and that kid's going to make a couple bucks, and good for him. How much did he make?
He made, well, bonuses, they said 2.5 to 3 mil.
They said they did fucking 2 million pay-per-view buys, too.
I don't believe. It's 1.3.
Okay. They didn't do that either. I don't believe anything they say. That's a fucking circus. That's not a real... None of that's real. I mean, do you think any of that shit that's going on over there is real? Come on, man. I built a real business here, a real sport. That's a freak show.
Jake Paul had some choice words in return for the owner of the UFC, saying that, Dana, you claimed that you would bet $1 million on me losing, set up Askren to train with the legendary Freddie Roach, gave him full access to UFC PI, and he still got his ass handed to him. Seems like you were the real douche, not Ariel. In my third fight, I made more in total pay than any fighter in UFC history. Maybe it's time to pay your fighters their fair share. No wonder they all want to get into boxing. Dana, you say you make the fights fans want to see, so hurry up and make Jones vs. Ngannou. Pay them for their fair share. $10 million purse for each guy, plus PPV. Why are UFC fighters so underpaid versus boxers? Why did I make more in my third fight than all but two, Khabib and Conor, UFC fighters have in history? I know why. And honestly, Jake Paul makes a very good point here, because there's been times where Dana White had fighters in their absolute prime that he pretty much gave up on, mainly because they didn't see eye to eye financially. The best example I could come up with is Conor McGregor. You see, Conor McGregor in 2016 made it to the very top, to the point where he was a 2-division champion. He won a UFC championship belt in 2 different weight classes, but eventually, a few months later, he would get stripped of the featherweight championship due to the inactivity that he had in the division. Shortly after, he would spend most of his time hyping up his boxing match versus Floyd Mayweather. And the purse that Conor McGregor got for his boxing match versus Floyd Mayweather was significantly greater than any championship fighting purse that he has ever earned throughout his entire career. Bear in mind, McGregor was in his late 20s when this was all going down, and although he makes sporadic appearances in the UFC now, he's definitely a little bit past his prime and focused more on other endeavors, because fighting just isn't worth the money for him anymore. And when you have talented fighters that no longer are interested in making money by fighting, well, at that point, you definitely have a problem if you're Dana White. So what Jake Paul is accusing of Dana White of is the fact that he is exploiting his fighters, while Dana White is calling Jake Paul's product a bad product. And to be honest, both of them are right. If Jake Paul didn't have the reach that he did, then chances are nobody would care about who he's fighting. But since we all want to see Jake Paul get his ass kicked, we all tune in and pay $50 so we could potentially watch a fight between him and someone that we think he has no business fighting. And honestly, it really shocks me that the only person that knows what is going on here is Dana White. he's the only one that clearly said that Jake Paul knows how to get people to talk about him, and he's making a lot of money by doing so. He acknowledged the fact that what he's doing isn't necessarily a sport, but people are interested in it, and as a result, he's making a ton of money. But it seems like the people that he's targeting just simply don't acknowledge that his main goal is to get under their skin and lure them into a potential fight. And the latest incident and the latest case of this is Daniel Cormier literally coming out via Mark Raimundi of ESPN, challenging Jake Paul to a MMA fight, and he said this during an appearance on DC and Owani. I'm going to torture him. I'm going to hurt him. I don't want to box him. I don't want to fight in a limited skill set of rules. If you really want to fight me in a mixed martial arts competition. I'm going to rip his face apart. I'm going to hurt the kid. I'm going to teach these kids not to continue to do this with people like me. Athletes. Ariel, I will hurt this kid. I'm going to choke him. I'm going to elbow him. And I'm going to hurt him. My name will not be used as a springboard. I love my legacy and I will protect my legacy. And if protecting my legacy means I got to slap this kid upside his head, that's what I'll do. Well, you see, there's no way Jake Paul would fight Daniel Cormier in an actual MMA competition because, come on, man, Daniel Cormier will absolutely destroy him. And I don't know, Logan Paul is fighting Floyd Mayweather in a boxing match in a month and a half, so maybe Jake Paul will take this on. But I'm not gonna lie, seeing both of these two in a boxing match where Daniel Cormier has a significant handicap and would still be favored in a boxing match against Jake Paul would be very entertaining to say the least. Either way, they would both see a gigantic payday as a result of this pay-per-view because I'm pretty sure we would all buy it. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this, and if you made it to the end of the video, drop a like and comment Mike Mafia so I know you made it to the end of the video. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.